stepping into a new day. Stop searching for a leader. Square your shoulders and make a new way. Oh, we've got to step up, step up, step up, and make it happen. Oh, we've got to step up, step up, step up, and make a difference. Oh, we've got to step up, step up, step up, and make it happen. Yeah, then we will step into a new day. There's clearly a need in each of our own communities. Stop pointing your finger, put your time in and watch your seed reap. Oh, we've got to step up, step up, step up, and make it happen. Oh, we've got to step up, step up, step up, and make a difference. Oh, we've got to step up, step up, step up, and make it happen. Yeah, then we will step into a new day. Oh, I believe in you. Oh, I believe in we. Oh, let's put our heads together. Let's step up and work as one. Oh, we've got to step up, step up, step up, and make it happen. Yeah, yeah. Oh, we've got to step up, step up, step up, and make a difference. Oh, we've got to step up, step up, step up, and make it happen. Yeah, then we will step into a new day. I believe we could live in harmony. Yeah, yeah, I believe that we could live in harmony. I believe that we can live in harmony. Yeah, I believe. Yes, I believe. Yeah, 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 yeah. We shall dance into. We shall run into. We shall step into a new day.
Okay. Honored guests and dear friends, thank you for coming back with us. Welcome to our last session of the Youth-Focused Mental Health Fair. Thanks to our youth ambassadors, our adult experts, and thanks to you all who participated, we have had 3 spectacular presentations. And this last one is not less wonderful. I am Rose Bui, lead for Compassionate San Diego, and this event is a collaborative effort from Compassionate San Diego Youth Council, Compassionate Arts, and Post for Peace and Justice. Compassionate San Diego is a young entity of grassroots efforts formed 10 months ago in March 2020 to foster compassion in all layers of the community. Our parents' organization are Compassionate California and the Charter for Compassion. Joanne Gaines from Compassionate California Leadership is here today. Together with our project manager, Kira Carrillo-Gosser, who is a relentless worker with a big heart and who never know how to rest until the work is done with love and to what she wanted to be done. We decided to focus on young people. We learned very rapidly from interview of youth 13 to 26, from Madison, Rose, and others in the group, that their current main concern is mental health. I sincerely invite you to enjoy this last session today on understanding autism with Madison Rose and Dr. Temple Grandin, which we are very grateful for her presence today. Youth Ambassador Daniela Cervantes will lead us through a breathing exercise. Dr. Emily Shell guide us with helping tips to make our experience smooth. And Kira Corser and Jordan will give further details and introduce the speakers. Daniela, please.
I don't think Daniela is here with us this afternoon. Is there someone else who would like to lead that exercise from our youth ambassadors?
I can lead it.
Okay, Rose, why don't you lead us through that?
Okay. It's a simple breathing exercise that will help us to center our body, mind, and spirit to the present presentation. So, inhale in, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 3, 2, 1. And now we'll pump it up to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. One more time. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Emily, please guide us.
All right, thank you, Rose. Ooh, I feel centered. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to this exceptional event. My name is Emily Schell, and I'm very proud to be part of the Compassionate San Diego leadership team. I represent the California Global Education Project, which is a statewide network. We work with kindergarten through 12th grade teachers to integrate global competence and global citizenship into their teaching and learning. So we're very happy to be here. I am your Zoom facilitator. And so I just want to remind all of you just 3 points so that this session can move smoothly. The first, we ask that everyone keep their microphone on mute unless they're speaking. And the second is that because today is all about our youth, if you are a youth ambassador, you're one of the youth joining us, please keep your camera on. But for the rest of us, we're going to turn our cameras off so that the focus can be on the youth for today, unless of course you're a presenter. And then third, we encourage all of you to participate by joining us in the chat room. Please feel free to highlight comments, questions, ideas, thoughts that you have as you're listening to the speakers today. And please remember that Compassionate San Diego values kindness and empathy and compassion and care. So as you post those comments and questions and read them and respond to them, please keep those things in mind so that we can maintain a safe space for all of us to learn and to grow and to connect with each other. With that, I'm going to hand it over to you, Kira.
Thank you so much, Emily and Rose. We have another wonderful person on our panel, and besides the great and wonderful Temple Grandin, my new and very dear friend now, Robin A. Williams, and also known as the Fairy Queen Flutterby. She works with youth on the autism spectrum and with adults. So she's going to be in the film later, but I just wanted to be sure that everybody knows there are 2 counselors on or we call them adult allies, on our council panel today with Madison. So, and there's Robin. So first we're going to hear from Madison. So the way that the panels are structured, the youth ambassadors did research, and then they put together their presentations, and because we want to focus on the youth, and then we want to hear from our esteemed wonderful counselors on this call, and then we will watch the video and talk about the art and how all of these connections really can help promote understanding people that are on the autism spectrum. And also, I just want to say one thing on a personal note. Madison is my granddaughter, and she is on the autism spectrum, and my significant partner in life is Tide Richards, and he is on the Asperger's spectrum. So I just tell them both they're like artists, you know. I think they just have the artist mind. And Temple, we've been watching your videos on YouTube the last couple of days, and we're so thrilled, and we want to just really get more people to know your message. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Madison.
Hi, I'm going to mainly be speaking on my personal experiences and with mental health and autism, and in school mainly too, because we don't really talk about it at all that what I've seen. So I'm going to be sharing my screen so we could see the presentation. Okay. ASD. With ASD, it means autism spectrum disorder. It's neurological mainly. For me, I was diagnosed in 2nd grade. I'm a high functioning, and I was kind of left out on a lot of things, especially in younger life because of it. It's also tested more in men than women, and it varies in men and women too. Also, our communication skills differ from the normal people who don't have it, and we don't always properly function in the work, life, or school. Now, typically we put in a different class for school. They kind of sometimes dumb it down a lot of time to make it easier for you so they could pass you. And it's kind of difficult to get into regular classes and classes you might want to take. Now, in high school, I wanted to take psychology that we can't take it because of my disability. So I had to take other classes that are fit for kind of my autism so I could pass easier, I guess. We also process the information differently from the curriculum that they currently have in place for normal people, which at my school is called Common Core, which obviously isn't common for a lot of people. Now, we could suffer from anxiety, ADHD, depression, anxiety, etc. We can be a higher risk to it, which kind of backlashes at us because we don't always know what we are feeling, which we could brush it off, but really you have depression or anxiety, which you wouldn't know for like maybe years or like decades, but then after a while you kind of see that if you do pay attention. Now how it kind of affects, obviously they don't know what we're feeling all the time. Like sometimes I could feel happy or I feel nothing personally. I have no clue what I'm feeling because no one tells me. So, yeah. Also, in school, I've been told that I can't do things. Mainly because no one understands. So, the last slide is, well, the second to last slide is how to help with that. To interact, like, don't always make eye contact because it makes us uncomfortable. Just don't touch or hug us unexpectedly. Or just touch them whenever, unless they tell you to, because it could scare us or harm other people because we could lash out. Also, just different things you should avoid, like, idioms when speaking. Yeah. Well, we suffer with learning new things because of the curriculum. I just saw the question, sorry. And we may not function well enough because we don't get to learn enough like normal people. Now the last slide is what I've been told and what my friends have been told. To us over years. This is not even all of them. So. Yeah, so.
You want some help, Madison?
Yes, please.
It's an emotional thing, and I'm so glad and proud of you for sharing. Even growing up with you in a way, with our whole family, understanding is really important, and what you're doing is really important to share, and the kinds of things that you're saying, or any baby talk, because people talk baby. And I remember you saying that that in school they put you in with kids with different levels, and you feel sometimes like it's not at your rate, because I know you read all the time and you like to write, and you've thought about doing writing. So I just thank you for sharing this. People can read what's on the screen, but what's in your heart is really important, and your courage to share this is really important. Do you have another slide?
No, we don't.
Okay. Do you have anything else you want to say before we go on to Robin, or to Dr. Temple Grandin and then Robin?
I think we're good.
Okay, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
You just acknowledged your braveness today and your share. I just wanted to acknowledge that. I think your, like I say, superhero powers are showing up today. So thank you so much. And that's a reference to Dr. Scarlett, what she was sharing earlier.
Jordan, did you want to introduce?
Yeah, I can introduce Dr. Temple Grandin. Let's see. So Dr. Temple Grandin, she is a world famous autism activist and named as one of the top 10 college professors in the USA, and known for her lifelong work with animal behavior. Dr. Grandin has been with Colorado State University for over 25 years. Her life's work has been to understand her own autistic mind and to share that knowledge with the world, aiding in the treatment of individuals with this condition. Her understanding of the human mind has aided her in her work with animal behavior, and she is one of the most respected experts in both autism and animal behavior in the world. And now, without further ado, Dr. Temple Grandin.
Really good to be here today. And I want to commend Madison for telling her story. I think this school has a lot of problems. I'm not happy with what I'm hearing about what this school is doing. I think it's ridiculous that you can't take psychology class. That's totally ridiculous. And being told that you just can't do things. What you got to do is you got to figure out the things that you're good at. A lot of people thought I was stupid. I wouldn't amount to much. And if you watch the HBO movie, you see some of the projects I did. One of the things that motivated me is I wanted to prove to people I was not stupid. Now, there were some things I was very bad at. Algebra, I'm never going to understand algebra. But things that involve visual thinking, which was shown very nicely in the HBO movie, I'm really good at that. Bullying, when I was in high school, worst part of my life. Teased, bullied all the time, called all kinds of names. And the only places where I was not bullied was where I had shared interests, friends through things like electronics, for example. And a 50s electronic project was to take a big speaker and put a rubber sheet over it and glue little mirrors on it, and then reflect the lamp off of it, and it would bounce in time with the music. And that's a fun project even to do now, you know, like a lot of years later. Friends through shared interests. I had some very good people in my life. One was my science teacher. And one of the things my science teacher did for me is he got me motivated to study, because I was an unmotivated student. I just didn't care about studying until my science teacher made studying a pathway to a goal. Now there was a reason to study. I can't emphasize how important mentors are. Now, I had another person that really helped me, and she was just a friend. When I was, a long time ago, I'd have this really scary eye surgery where a little skin cancer was taken off my eyelid. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, worried about going blind. And I had a friend who had also had eye problems, and she, said to me, "You're going to get over it." But the support from that friend during that time was really important. I also had a lot of problems with anxiety. And I talk about my experiences with anxiety in my book, Thinking in Pictures. And there's a whole chapter in there on anxiety. Heavy exercise helped. Now, I've been on medication on a low dose of an antidepressant for about 40 years, since 1980. It really turned me around. Now, there's way too many drugs just handed out like candy. But sometimes I know people where a little bit of Prozac or something like that has made a big difference. COVID's been really difficult. All of my speaking engagements have been where I did travel has been cut off. I have not flown since March 12th. And one of the things I found that I had to do so I wouldn't get depressed is I got to get up in the morning, be on a schedule, get up every morning, get dressed for work, no laying around in jammies, and be on a schedule. You might want to look at life on the International Space Station. They've learned that that's like Scott Kelly, who was up there for a year. They have a schedule. They have their time. They eat all together. They got their work to do. They got to do a lot of exercise. And they also schedule in fun things to do. There's a really cute video you can look up online, Christmas on the International Space Station. It's a CNN video. I think you can find it pretty easily. But they found that having a schedule is really an important thing. Now, sensory issues are real, and they're very variable. I had problems with scratchy clothes. I can't stand scratchy things against my skin. Somebody else might not be able to stand certain kind of lighting. Sensory issues really are real. But when it comes to, self-esteem, I found that finding something I could be good at, that was a skill other people want. In other words, I'm a big proponent of developing strengths. And I've talked about different kinds of thinking, like the visual thinkers who are good at art. And then there's the mathematical thinkers. They might be doing badly in school, but maybe they need to be introduced to some Python or some JavaScript programming language. They might just take off on that, and they could do work in a computer field. Other people are good writers. I like what Stephen Hawking has to say about disability. concentrate on those things. Your disability does not prevent you from doing well. He could do math in his head super well and not very much else. So let's build on the area where there is a strength. I can't emphasize that enough. And mentors, teachers, you never know where someone might be a mentor. Maybe you get a job in the local shop and it's the shopkeeper. It could be a lot of different people. When I had the problem with my eye, it was just a rancher that was a friend of mine. I stayed at her house and she had terrible problems with glaucoma. And she talked about, that I'd get over it. And I just had this little surgery. It wasn't anywhere near as serious as glaucoma, but I was really stressed out over it. But building on strengths. I understand we'll be looking at some art. I'm really looking forward to, doing that. Another thing we've got to do with a lot of young adults is job skills. We've got to do that. One of the big mistakes is making, oh, well, little Tommy's autistic or whatever. He doesn't have to learn how to shop. No, we've got to teach people basic skills. Absolutely. Shopping, bank account, driving for me. It took a whole lot longer to learn it. I had to do 200 miles of practice on dirt roads. Would have severely limited my career without driving. It's going to take longer. But I'm seeing too many kids where they're just getting too much. I don't like the attitude of Madison school at all. I'm really upset about this because they're just getting a total handicap mentality that she's not capable of doing anything. No, I am not capable of doing algebra, but there's a lot of other things I'm very capable of doing. My mother had a very good sense of how to stretch me. And when I remember when she made me go to the lumberyard to buy some stuff by myself, just outside the comfort zone, get stretched and learn things. Because I'm seeing a lot of grandfathers come up to me and they find out they're on the autism spectrum when the kids get diagnosed. But that grandmother or that grandfather who's probably on the autism spectrum, he had a paper route when he was 11, or she had a paper route. Learning work skills. This is absolutely essential. And it really should be done before they graduate from high school, but it's never too late to start. And I never thought I'd have to talk about shopping, but this is where a 50s upbringing really helped me, because these things were taught to all kids really young. Also, a lot of the simple social skills, those were taught to all children in the 50s. I think I'll end it there. Hopefully there'll be some questions.
Thank you so much. It's so wonderful, Temple, what you're saying, because I think Madison needed to hear it, and you're echoing some of the things that she's been saying, and I think you've just given her some courage to I think her mom's on this call too, Katrina, my daughter, and maybe the three of us can go to your school and make some changes. Say Temple Grandin said.
Some of the stuff this school is saying, I think it's
with COVID, though, it's kind of hard to do anything, isn't it? I mean, we just have to plan our strategy.
Well, that's the problem. It's really messed up my life. I've been working on a lot of writing projects. Boom, all my travel was shut down. It's been hard on everybody.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it. Jordan is going to introduce our next panel speaker, and that's Robin Williams. And Robin is friends with Temple, and that's how we got introduced to you, Temple, and we're so glad. And
answer a question here on the chat. The chat from Tricia says, what social skills did you have to learn? All kids in my generation, starting around age 5 and 6, were taught to shake hands. They were taught to say please and thank you. They were taught turn taking at games, turn taking in conversation. They used a method I call teachable moments. This was done with all kids in my generation. If I put my finger in the mashed potatoes, mother didn't scream no, she'd say use the fork. That was standard upbringing. Another thing that was done was when I was like 7 and 8 years old, we had to dress up in our good clothes and be little party hostesses and caterers at parents' parties. You see, this teaches basic social skills. And I think that's really important. There's a man that I know, he's on the spectrum, got diagnosed later in life, and had a very successful job in the computer industry. And similar skills were taught. I have a book that people might be interested in. It's called The Unwritten Social Rules. I did with Sean Barron, The Unwritten Social Rules. There's also a book called Different Not Less. I was the editor of it, where it's about 16 people diagnosed later in life tell their stories. They're all employed. They all had work experiences as kids. And I've worked with big, heavy industry on equipment. I've worked with skilled trades people that I know are on the spectrum or ADHD or dyslexic that have decent careers. You know, I think the teachers in that school have never gotten out of their silo that they're stuck in.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Temple, or Dr. Grandin, for sharing. I think Alexia might have another question.
Hey, Dr. Temple. So my question was, what are some ways that we could implement programs to give people that suffer from autism the same opportunities as anyone else who doesn't suffer from autism?
Wait a minute. First of all, you're asking a very generalized question. See, this is part of the problem, overgeneralizing. Well, I want to talk about how do we teach social skills? How do you teach manners? How do you teach shopping? It's and then Madison school just assumes that she's stupid. You know, that's completely bad. Now, what tends to happen is people with various labels have uneven skills, good at one thing, bad at something else. There's not enough emphasis on building up the thing the person can be good at, like art, for example, or maybe a skilled trade. There's people I know that fix cars, that fix equipment in factories that I know are on the spectrum, but they're brilliant at fixing stuff and building stuff. And now they're playing video games in the basement because they took auto mechanics out of the school. They took welding out of the school. It's the dumbest thing the schools ever did. And now they say, well, you're in special ed, so you can't take welding. Well, I worked on great big, huge plants like Tyson plants, Cargill plants. I'll tell you, the special ed department builds big factories. I'm not kidding, about 20% of them.
I heard you
special ed kids today.
I heard you speak and say, I think you said something like 50% of the people in Silicon Valley are on the spectrum.
Well, anywhere from 25 to 50% of the programmers, the people that are actively doing the program. Across the whole company, maybe it's only 25%, but in the programming department, and I've been there. And so one geeky kid gets to go get a great job at Silicon Valley, and another one's addicted to video games. And you know, this is where people are getting too stuck on the labels. This is why I like what Stephen Hawking had to say. He told the New York Times right before he died, concentrate on those things. Your disability doesn't prevent you from doing well. And the thing he could do well was math in his head. Now, I've had parents that are computer programmer parents, and their kids got diagnosed with autism, and their kid's really good at math, and they don't think to introduce programming. And they're in the field. This is where they've gotten too into the label mentality.
Sandra has a question.
They're not going to learn computer programming if they're not exposed to it. And there's all kinds of free resources online for mathematics and computer programming, or very, very economical things. JavaScript, Python, you got to introduce it. It's not for me. I'm from the Fortran days. It was hopeless, but at least I got exposed. And one of the reasons why I got into the cattle industry, I got exposed to it as a teenager.
Do we have time? Sandra, do you have a question?
I just wanted to say, I think that's fantastic that you said it's really disheartening to see how the education system is trying to, pigeonhole people in different, areas based on that. And Madison and Dr. Temple, I think I'm probably even dyslexic myself. We all have things, and I love how Temple Grandin just said, focus on your strengths, because no matter what, everybody's different and people are just judgmental, and that's all about them. It has nothing to do with you. It's
well, in my book on the autistic brain,
there you go. Something's going on with them, Madison, not you. and you're like, you know, very strong and very smart, and we're just all different. Like, I want to cook, no matter how hard I try, I can't cook. I can't cook. Like, I will burn water. If there's a way to burn water, I do it. So anyway, I just think that's wonderful you're saying about strengths and not comparing, because number one, when we compare, no matter what, and social media does that to us sometimes. It's great to keep us connected, but it also, we're comparing a lot. So, and when Temple Grandin said, I wish we did have more skills, introducing social skills, it's gotten lost. So anyway, I just really
that's one of the
appreciate it.
reasons why the grandfather and the grandmother had jobs, because they were taught these skills. That was something that was done. 50s and 60s, children were just taught shake hands, please and thank you, taking turns, board games, turns in conversation.
Yeah.
You know, these are things that are not that hard to teach. And we're not doing that.
Mm-hmm. And we get so relied on our phones as well. I think that affects all of us, you know, like we just get so relied on different technology and that. So just
one of the things we need to be doing is
anyway,
have one meal a day where the phones are put away. I think it's very interesting that NASA, the big event at the space station, and I've actually looked at space station schedules, they have the midday meal. Everybody on the station is there. Another thing they do, they got a lot of countries there. So whatever countries are represented, they celebrate all the holidays for each country. You know, for each nationality. I think that's really nice. But they want them have that meal together. And of course, there are no cell phones up there, but no, they have that meal together. They're not yakking on the radios or whatever. NASA's learned that that's important. The midday meal. The other two meals they can just pick up whenever, but maybe that's something we need to be doing with a lot, you know, from these families.
Madison put build your strengths and different, not less, on the art post, which you'll see on the video a little bit later.
Yeah, good. And my book, The Autistic Brain, shows the science for some people have abilities in the kind of visual thinking I have, and then other people have abilities more in the mathematics. And how are you going to know a kid's good at math if you make him do baby math over and over again? It turns into a behavior problem because he's so bored.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, if you can put a link to templegrandin.com for my books, it's just templegrandin.com.
We're going to do a resource page in a mental health gallery, art gallery online, and we will definitely put your links on there and the link to your book.
Well, I certainly do appreciate that, but I working in all these big meat companies. I worked with people that came straight out of the low income situation. They got a job on the floor. They learned every job on the floor. And 15 years later, they're building a new plant addition and they get to play with Legos with a crane, big, huge concrete ones. I have seen that career path. That is doable. And half of all good jobs come in the back door, just through connections. And sometimes you never know where those connections might be. There's that scene in the movie where I get the editor's card. It's an important scene that actually happened, because I knew if I wrote for that magazine, that would really help my career. And then I produced a good article. So one of the things that students need to learn is decent writing skills. That's really important. I think Chris wants to ask a question. He was flicking his fingers.
Oh, no, love. I was giving you the speakeasy snap of approval.
Oh, well, thank you. Okay. All right. I'm just trying to. Lady, it doesn't know all the latest sounds. Well, thank you. All the latest signals. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. I think we want to also just have Jordan introduce Robin, and we'll take the comments and more questions towards the end.
Okay, fine.
So we can have time for everybody's presentation.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Grandin, for answering questions. Now we will hear from Robin Williams, also known as Fairy Queen Flutterbee. She is the founder of Autism Spectrum Disorder Supports, a nonprofit helping to build health relationships supporting those on the spectrum. Robin made history when she was the first special needs adult to be approved by Fleshman Hillard and the Olympic Committee as a journalist to cover the Special Olympic World Games in LA of 2015. This was a monumental moment for Robin because only a few years prior, she was ready to give up her life. But at age 42, when all seemed hopeless, she was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome. Robin pays it forward by inspiring others to become their own heroes and save their lives. She also teaches through the art of storytelling as her character, Fairy Queen Flutterbee. As the fairy, Robin receives hugs from special needs children who never even hug their parents. And in turn, she teaches those parents how to get their own precious hugs. She has created a charity, developed an adult special needs dating service, a resource network, and is an interpreter for her peers. Robin is presently launching her third book in her 501c3 nonprofit, Autism Spectrum Disorder Supports. As a native Californian, Robin is currently working with everythingfallbrook.org and just interviewed and created a video with Kira on the art we are creating for this Compassionate Youth Mental Health series. And so now we can hear from Robin.
Hi, everybody. It's so awesome to be here. I just want to correct a couple things. So it's Fairy Queen Flutterbee. And a lot of the people do call me Flutterbee, and I think it's very sweet. But just so we keep it straight for profession reasons. And then I'm kind of newly married, just over a year, and I haven't been able to change my name in my computer. So I am officially now Robin Williams, which is kind of cool because I really admired him and I tend to be kind of funny. So I think in honor of Robin Williams, I'll use that name now. So again, it's an honor to be participating with such distinguished guests. And Dr. Temple, you just have to know you're such a hero for so many of us. So really, really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. And then everybody else as well, because we're all just as important. And I just wanted to say in my testament that I have overcome at times what seemed insurmountable hurdles. You know, any successes that I've had are not in spite of my intellectual disabilities or challenges, but because of them. A diagnosis of Asperger's syndrome actually opened up a world of opportunity that I couldn't have imagined. Seeing things differently was more than okay because it allowed my true talents to shine. If memory serves me right, I heard an interview, I believe it was Tim Burton, that said he had received thousands of rejections before he received his first yes. And then I realized that it was okay to be told no, but not to expect it, not to accept it, and to pivot and move in a different direction. The most important thing that was lacking in my life was healthy relationships. This being the key to the quality of life in all aspects. It led me to the creation of a program called Relationships Are Us. By paying it forward, and it's actually relationshipsrus.com, so we like to call it RAUC, as in RAUC, because everyone needs a solid and happiness is everyone's right. So by paying it forward to all the people lacking that quality part of life, I use my natural talents of mentoring, cheerleading, and teaching others that need to learn the tools so that they can have their own healthy relationships. With the help of my partner, Paul Smith, we first evaluate the immediate need of an individual. And once that's established, it will reveal a path so that we can tailor make a program to attain their own personal goals. We establish a team with each person's contribution filling a different need. We use volunteers so that we may log in as much practice needed to develop such skills as the art of conversation, appropriate behavior, and good hygiene. And also all of those things, when they start to blossom, it brings on their own natural courage and gives them confidence. We use different methods of teaching that are innovative and help utilize each individual's natural abilities, such as role play through costume play, which is known as cosplay. This gives the freedom of individuality to blossom. It helps to build confidence in their delivery when speaking to other people. It establishes social boundaries and understanding to respect one another for an even playing field. Once the individual is feeling ready to venture out on their own, we guide them to take the steps going forward to meet their goals. We are sure to reinforce that it is okay to be rejected and teach them how to be able to process rejection so that they'll be able to move forward and not hang on to it. We teach them to manage their expectations and to obtain realistic goals. If I tell you, you all must dwell, because people dwell. Only dwell on your small victories, for they are worthy of celebration. Another major component is always helping to reassure that everybody has a bad day, which is not the end of the world. It's okay to feel sad, but you don't want to keep it. You don't want to carry it for too long. You go through it, you process it, and you move forward so that you're not stuck in that darkness. We remind them that it's good to mourn and grieve their feelings, but not to allow it to consume them so that they can't do anything else. Once they've allowed for that time, you set a reasonable time limit. You say, okay, I'm talking to one of my specials and they're telling me this horrible thing. And I say, okay, we're going to really talk about that and we're going to digest it, but you get like an hour. And then I'm going to call you back in an hour and we're going to change that attitude. And that seems to really help. It's kind of almost like a biofeedback. And if any red flags arise at any time during our processes, we immediately make contact with their parents and caregivers to ensure that they get the proper attention that they need, whether it be physical or mental. Some people get really embarrassed or ashamed when they have those feelings of desperation or depression or those deep sorrow. And there's really nothing to be ashamed of. We're all human and everybody goes through that. We need to recognize when there's a need for other measures. Like, for example, I am very strong into meditation. I had been a guinea pig to doctors for years before my diagnosis and learned that I didn't need all those drugs. They weren't really helping me anyway. They were just causing other problems. But there is sometimes, I do believe it is necessary, and we shouldn't be ashamed if we have to use a medication. I suffered from severe depression sometimes, and if it wasn't for the others mentoring, guiding, and teaching me these tools that I use every day to this day, I would not have had this journey, and I would not trade it for anything. The fact that you're all here today shows how very much you love life, and we all love life. So let's enjoy some of it together, shall we? Anybody has any questions, I'd love to see answer them at the end of the talking.
I actually have a question for
Yes,
you.
please. Hi, Faye.
Okay.
Hi, Faye love.
I remember you were talking about just proper care and just what we show for how we can embrace relationships. So, on the spectrum, different people, when you're on the spectrum, you want love too. And I know you're talking about affection, how to properly address affection. Can you go more into that and how you develop the program to help?
So when we do an intake and we find out the very specific needs of the person, obviously we're going to make sure like if they have sensory issues, if they can touch or hug or whatever. And so once we know exactly what their recipe is and what it works for them so that they can receive affection, then what we try to do is we encourage everybody that's working with that person on their team to help them practice receiving affection in appropriate ways. We teach side hugs, so that, because we have some people that really do want that affection and they just kind of tend to almost suffocate you with the body hug, So we practice. So we just simply practice doing what works for that person. So I was writing on the notes for the messages. Everybody has a different ingredients for a recipe for success. So once we can establish what that person, like Temple was talking about, what are your strong suits? What are you good at? Focus on that. We have that same thing. Once we know what that person's needs are and how we can fulfill those needs so that the person is comfortable and feeling confident and not feeling afraid, then we can move forward with their whatever physical things that they're looking for. So whatever their immediate need, if it's to have physical relationships, if it's to have a sexual relationship, or if it's just like in that story where I got my first hug in that costume, and the mother came up to me, and it was a 15-year-old, and she said, "What was it like when my son hugged you?" And oh my God, it just broke my heart. I was like, "You mean you've never hugged your son?" She goes, "Not since he was like a year old." So I took her to, we actually were able to go out and we bought the costume for her. She became a fairy every morning and would get a hug from her son in the morning. Then she'd put it back on at night and she'd get a hug from her son at night. And she did that for almost a year. I called her up and I said, "You know what? I think you need to start taking pieces of the costume off." She's like, "No," she was so afraid. But because they had been practicing that for a year, she finally took the costume off. She called me up about 6 months later. She said, "Johnny's home from school sick." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." She goes, No, I just wanted to let you know that he's lying on the couch with his head in my lap and I don't have the costume on." And so it's things like that that we're able to kind of break through that barrier of what was keeping them from receiving the physical affection. And then obviously it's different for each situation. If it's going to be sexual, that's very different. If it's going to be platonic, but all those types of things are really important. So once we know where they're coming from, the type of person they are, then we can tailor make that type of practice needed for that affection.
Can we hold off on the questions until after the video and Madison gets to talk a little bit as lead artist, and then we'll go back into the
absolutely
discussion? Okay, great, thank you. I'm just wanting to honor everybody and get back to it. Keep your questions. I see a few on the chat, so I'm going to share my screen. And well, there we go.
When Madison was a little girl, I used to love to photograph her as she would get enthralled by the waves washing the beach, the sand, the leaves in the forest. She seemed to be in her own world. In the second grade, she was placed in special education classes. That was 11 years ago. Now she reads constantly, she thinks compassionately, and is an advocate for justice and an activist for the students on the autism spectrum. It was Madison's original idea to do a youth mental health fair. At her high school, she wrote a paper and she talked to me about why she was suggesting a mental health fair. She said it seemed like every week people her generation were hear about disasters and crisis, and they needed help.
This one we're trying to help people understand what to look out for someone with it, like sensory issues, like loud noises or bright lights that could trigger the like sort of flight or fight sort of stance in the brain, which could have them have a meltdown almost, and also to help them help that person who has the meltdown to kind of calm down and get to normal, basically.
So tell me a little bit about the boxes.
So the boxes was a quote from Temple Grandin, basically. And what I find is everyone's in their own box. What like I understand is if you're in your own box, you can always succeed from it and go beyond the box, or just stay and be comfortable in that box.
We're very excited to be announcing this amazing panel coming up that is going to be giving confidence and tools to those that are at-risk youth in the autism community. And I am extremely excited. I'm such an honor to be able to share this panel with these distinguished people, but especially my hero, Temple Grandin. She inspired me to want to step out of my comfort zone and to reach for the stars. And it's so exciting that we can announce that Temple Grandin will be part of this project and this panel, and all of those who have that admiration for her will get to share in that joy and learn firsthand what she has to offer.
Like kids, especially in high school, don't know about the autism or the many different kinds. So they'll just be like, oh, they're just retarded, or just be rude to them because they don't know any better, and they're kind of like iffy about the differences.
In these really trying times, especially with our at-risk youth in the autism demographic, it's really important to maintain some positivity and to remember that when you have a bad day, it's just a bad day. It's not the end of the world. It took me a long time to realize that.
I figured out I was born on another planet, and we got different visions and better standards. They sent me here cause I never really minded my manners. I wasn't banished.
Great. I'm just amazed at all the things that I've learned from this process. Madison, as lead artist, it's your time if you want to say more. And then we'll open it up to questions. Or Robin, did you have something to say? Oh, okay. Madison?
Yeah, I don't have anything to say for the post or anything.
Okay. All right, so we did have some questions and a couple of things.
And I'll help you with that. I saw that you had a few. So
Okay.
I think that I saw something from Dijonay. Did she want to share something? She had her hand up, and then I know that Chris has his hand up too.
We want to thank Chris. That your
we
music.
do want to thank Chris. The music was provided by Chris. We'll thank him. I was going to thank him.
I hope that was okay. I had to cut it a little bit, Chris.
So let's go to DJ. Yes.
Faye and Kira, can you ask Reverend Abigail if she has anything to share with us?
Well, I saw a question actually in the chat from Dijonay Cantley.
Hi, I just wanted to, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Dijonay. I'm Makaya's mom. This is Makaya.
Hi, you guys.
And she's pretty friendly, but she is autistic, and she is first off, I want to thank you guys for creating this, and the Passionate Arts San Diego, the whole thing in general. Like I said, my sister introduced me to you guys because Makaya has been autistic, and first she started out with being premature, and they just called it developmental delay. Well, as this year has ended out, she has been having different people in her life to help her throughout her life. But at the end of this year, she was in 12th grade. And of course, we know the shutdown happened, and a lot of things are showing up in our life that she could and should be supported with. So I thank you guys first off for having these groups, because this is something that I've been needing and wanting, because I've been looking for people to help me help her move on to the next chapter of her life, which is adulthood. And I just really appreciate that. And a lot of the things that you guys were saying, I connect with as a mom, she connects with, and I'm just appreciative of all of the people who shared, all of the people who did the good works and stuff like that. And um, because of her anxieties,
Can she share? Because I know she's very articulate. Can she share? Can you share what you're feeling right now? Because I'm proud that I wanna say that they've been on all 4 of all the panels and all the calls. So I just would like you to
really
share.
fast.
Yes.
The meeting that we had yesterday opened her up so much. And
Can she share? Can she
Huh?
share that? I would love to
Yeah.
hear her share that.
About that, and I was so proud. So I really
Yeah,
appreciate
I
that.
had a time in my life where, well, I still have anxiety a little bit,
Yes.
and she helped me learn the different types of anxiety, the OCD, the social, and I was watching those videos and I was like, wow, I didn't know the different types. I just knew the word anxiety. And
so
I knew I had it, but I didn't know what kinds I had. And then my mom, she kind of told me, which ones I had, and I was just
So
looking
what
at
did you
the
identify
videos.
with before we continue? Which one did you identify with? Which
Well, I
anxiety?
think I have like social anxiety. Like I kind of had a hard time trying to chime in with you guys in the group with talking to you guys. But today, now I get to understand and learn you guys better, that I decided to open up a little bit today.
I love it. And
Like,
I'm
I
seeing
feel a
you
little bit more.
smile. I'm seeing you smile. That's why I know I can see it in you when you first joined the call. I'm like, you're high functioning, and I want to see you speak. I want to see you shine. So I appreciate you.
You have a beautiful smile.
Thank you. And I also like Madison. Thank you for your presentation. You did a good job.
Thank you.
Everyone did a good job.
Thank you. You tears,
I
right?
want to commend
Anybody else?
Madison.
Yes. Anybody else? And Dr. Abigail, would you like to share?
Wow, this has filled me up. I've been on the last 2 calls today. I wasn't able to get on yesterday, but as a former elementary school teacher, it breaks my heart that this is still going on in the schools. I remember when I was still teaching that we would have, every day we talk about being kind, being compassionate, what's our values, and it seems like that's not happening. And and especially now with our children that are on the spectrum of autism, that these are precious, precious children of God. And I am so grateful to be on this call. And I would love to continue working with Rose and Kira and everybody else and that doing something to help the school district. So thank you all for doing this. I hope many people have shown up because it is so needed. And we just have to keep doing this, keep working at it, and bring these young people to the teachers and have them share their stories. The stories are powerful and they need to be heard. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Really do.
Thank you. And I know, thank you, Dr. Abigail. And I saw that Chris had a question earlier. That's why his hand was up. So Chris, did you want to comment as well?
Yes, I'm going back and forth between like a really political conversation between myself and the co-producer of this of the song that was sampled just now. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. My brain is still a bit racked from the Capitol building issue. First, I want to congratulate Madison for being standout, for being a shining star, for being a superhero. I want to second point out Alexia. Like you have been absolutely super like consistent, and seeing like you being the first face that I saw when I called into the Zoom was so pleasant. Madison, you struck a chord for me, my love. On your post, you said that I am not broken. Did I feel? Oh no, girl, not at all. um, um, when you said I am not broken, it really hit home for me. I mean, I don't think I'm autistic. I'm extremely interested in being screened. And definitely will be screened once I get out of this quarantine. But wow, wow, wow. I I don't even know how to form words right now, but I would love to learn how how you got to the this belief that you're not broken, and see where we connect.
Madison, would you like to respond to Chris's statement? And I think, Robin, you can also speak to the assumption of folks not want to be seen or quiet, because there's another side, which you talked about, is folks would like to be seen. So there's two spaces, but I would like to have Madison respond to that, and then Robin, go ahead and share.
Thank you, Chris. I say I am not broken because that's what I've been told for years on end, even though I know it's not true. So that's why I say it. I am not broken. I'm just different. And that's what I live by. And that's why I wrote it on the box specifically, because more people should know that they shouldn't just say, oh, this person's broken in the head. No, they're not. They probably just learn different and just need some kind of help. And that's why I want to bring this up more, because everyone should get the same level of education, because we're all human. We all have the same brains. We should all learn, like, sort of together, and like try to help each other and bring us all up so we could all learn from each other. And that's why I like that.
Beautifully stated. Beautifully stated. Thank you. No one can speak better on the subject than you. You're an expert. I love, and you speak from the heart and continue to advocate the way you do. Again, you got your cape on, girl. You're soaring. Robin.
Yeah, so I just think first of all, Madison, I just wish I could just give you a big giant hug. So I'm just going to hug you. Everybody hug Madison.
I'm hugging you, yes.
We're giving you a big hug. You've done an amazing job bringing us all together. I mean, your thoughts created this and brought this all together. So you definitely have to celebrate that victory. Okay, girl. And as far as being broken, I was also told that, you're so damaged. You're just a broken person. Like something's wrong with you. There's something not right about you. And people that actually had a little bit of tolerance and had even two beans between their ears, that had any kind of personality, typically really liked me when they met me. But then as they got to know me a little longer, it'd be like the honeymoon was great and then the divorce was quick. And it was sad because I learned there's a lot of people that can only take our side that they consider to be neurotypical, or what you like to say normal, and there's no normal. Nowadays, I'm almost 56 years old, and now I am not the minority. We're the majority. Everybody has something. So when someone says you're broken, I'm sorry, take a look inside out, because it's pretty sure that you got cracks in your veneer. You know, there's nothing that's perfect. And so if we all just remember that we're all, with our different ingredients and our different things, you take everybody's intricate contribution that they're naturally good at, and you bring them all together, and it weaves this beautiful fabric, and it's called the human condition.
Well stated. Kira, if you have anything else, yeah, you have something to say? Sure. And I know that we have Joanne on the call too.
Katrina is on the call, and she would like to say something about Madison.
Okay, great, Katrina.
I'm very proud of Madison for doing this project and staying strong. I've seen her really grow and develop doing this project, and really thinking and, being, on it. I know she has, we've had difficulty with the school, and now that COVID and she's not going, she's really not getting the services right now. And she is a senior. Yeah, and I kind of, from learning all this, is kind of seeing that maybe I am on the spectrum, because I kind of do understand a lot of her sensitivity and that social kind of hesitation. And I'm also dyslexic, and I've accomplished a lot, and I do more of the math, and so I've really focused on that, as opposed to, I don't write that well, and I can't spell, but I've learned to kind of use the computer and focus on that problem solving that my brain does work. So.
And I want to just say how proud I am of both of you, and really ask all of you, if you can stand up for somebody, especially when they're a student, it makes a huge difference. Katrina's teachers in the 4th grade told me she'll never go to college. She graduated president of the accounting fraternity in San Marcos State University. I mean, and she's a CPA and a CFO. I mean, she has accomplished things that those teachers told me she would never do. And I didn't tell her those things, but I did have to fight to get her into classes, and I had to fight with the principals and teachers. So sometimes it takes a village again. This theme keeps coming up in our conversations. It really is important. You don't think you're important sometimes, but all you have to do sometimes is give someone the courage to speak up. And so you can go on I just want 5 minutes at the end just to tell people how they can get in touch with us.
Yeah, I'm just going to call on one more person to speak, and that's Joanne Gaines, who is on our leadership team, who's been with Compassionate California, and support Compassionate Arts heavily. I would like to thank her and being an advocate. So if you have a few remarks that you want to share at the end, and then definitely want to thank all our participants. And so many of you have joined all 4 panels, and that's amazing. And I want to thank our Compassionate Council as well, who members such as lead artist like Adonia, who's worked on our post, and Heather, who's also worked on the post as well. So you want to find out more about what we're doing, go to compassionatearts.net. But here we want to turn it over to Joanne. Thank you.
And Jennifer Colby too. She's on the call.
And Jennifer, yes, thank you.
Oh boy. Hi everyone, and congratulations to all of you, to all the panelists, all the participants, the artists, the youth, etc. on all the panels. Great job. Congratulations.
I'm going to keep this short. I apologize. I'm recovering from surgery, and this is difficult for me to even talk. So again, thank you. Someone tout Compassionate California and the charter, and take a look at all of the compassionate work worldwide. Thanks again, everyone.
Again, we appreciate your support and working with you all these years. One last comment from the audience, and then we will definitely hand it over to Kira to close it out.
Can everybody say hi to me so I can get a picture of my new friends? Everyone, say hi.
Hi.
Hello. Oh, it's so wonderful. Thanks, everybody.
And I know we have Jennifer. Jennifer, did you want to speak? Jennifer Colby, did you want to speak?
I just am so excited that you're giving youth a voice, and I want to thank Temple Grandin for being here with the youth. And my goodness, I first learned about you. We showed your film in a labor film festival about people rights in working, and I just wanted to pass that on because it was a very interesting perspective to see your life work. And I think for the youth, you spoke to them in such a wonderful way. I work with reforming education, so everything you said about what we need to do in the schools is so true. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me. And there's things we need to change, some of these attitudes in the schools. I'm very concerned about some of the things I've heard here today. Too much just telling people they can't do anything.
Yes, I agree. And thank you, Jennifer. Dr. Jennifer Colby is on our state leadership team with Felicia and I, and Laura O'Connor and Joanne Gaines. And she is a professor at Cal State University in Monterey Bay, where I used to teach. So thank you, Jennifer, for that. I'm sure that Temple, I'm sure she promotes all the compassionate things that we're talking about. She's one of the most compassionate people I've ever met. And so I just we have just a few more minutes, and I want to just tell people that we are putting together a resource page on Compassionate San Diego and Compassionate Arts that will list any of the resources like Temple and everybody here that has been on the panel, that has an organization, Emily, and different people like that. And I think we want to be able to be an outlet that connects through compassion. And so that's what we've been doing for these panels. We recorded them, and we're going to put these panel discussions on our Facebook with Compassionate San Diego and Compassionate Arts, maybe Compassionate California. I don't know. What do you think, Joanne? And also we want to put together a mental health art gallery that will help promote thinking about how the arts can aid. And when I say arts, I mean performance art and new media, in addition to visual arts and also poetry. Marjorie's been on every one of our panel discussions, and she's an amazing poet and painter too, and Patricia Fisher too. So the way that we are seeing a major difference is the fact that you're participating in this, the youth especially. We honor you. We value your courage and your compassion. Please hear that, because all the things that you have done the last 2 days have been amazing to me. And I've done a lot of different things in my life, and you've done a great job. So I want you just to feel that, please. And taking the time to do that with us and helping other people is really important. So thank you all.
And celebrate.
We do have about 12 minutes left on this call, which is plenty of time to actually hear.
Could I say one more thing?
Please.
Is that okay? So somebody told me a long time ago that you think you know where you're going, you have this goal of the success, and you think this is what the success should look like. But then you go through your journey and you end up in a totally different place. but you're still just as successful. And you might not always realize that. So I want people to remember that our journey takes us on such crazy different, paths. And sometimes you have these little side streets and U-turns that you make, but you have to remember that even if you don't end up where you think you should have ended up, it doesn't mean you're not just as successful. And to that point, I have been creating these videos for years. And when I did the Special Olympic work in 2015, I created a video it's a 12-minute version and there's a 4-minute version. And Kira is going to add it to the resources that you'll be getting after. And we were going to play it today, but we're not. It won't do it justice to play it on the Zoom, we found out. But it would mean so much to me if you all could watch it. It's a lot of the global messengers and some really amazing people that are people on the spectrum and our young adults that are telling people what their needs are. And they're talking about their needs are relationships, and they want to have girlfriends and boyfriends and feel love. And it's a really sweet piece. And Kira was really happy with it, which after all those years of it just sitting there collecting dust. So if you all could take a look at it, make a comment, or let me know what you think. I'm good with constructive criticism. So I'm very sensitive in so many ways, but I really, I've got a nice thick shell, even though I'm soft, gooey center. I've worked on that for years. So please give it to me raw. So that's my ask, and I appreciate that from everybody. It's been a few years since I've been speaking publicly again, and this was a really great opportunity to come out. So sorry if I read my little speech, too much reading of it, but I think
You did a great job. You did a great job, Robin. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. And I think everyone here is great, and I want all these youngsters to know we've got you. We've got you.
Thank you. We're gonna we have 10 minutes. I want to go ahead and remember that this is the youth call, and I want to have a balanced conversation. So I would like to hear back just your takeaway from the experience, youth ambassadors, Jordan, Jalen, any of the other youth ambassadors. Alexia has a great comment. So I'm going to open up with Alexia. Can you just give us your comment and your takeaway? And thank you so much. So Alexia. And Marisa, would love to hear from you as well. She has a lot to say on this subject, actually.
Yeah, Marisa, she's very intuitive. I really like that. So, hi, everyone. I just wanted to say that you all are strong, you're passionate, you're courageous. I admire everything that all of you do. I admire you, Miss Temple. I admire you, Dr. Williams. I'm so happy to hear all of your stories, and just know that God always has your back. You can do anything as long as you put your mind to it. I've always known that. I've been a strong believer in that. And especially, it's always good to have a support system. And Marisa or Madison, if you ever need anyone to talk to, and this just goes for anybody on the call too, if you ever need anyone to talk to, I'm always here. Marisa, I appreciate you because you always check up on me and say, hey, how are you doing? I need to do better with doing that with you too. It's just getting prepared for school, so junior year starting, so just gotta strike it out. And I hope all of you keep continuing to reach for the stars, and I know all of you will keep on blessing the world with your talents. Much peace and love.
All right, let's pop it over to one of your peers. Who do you want to share the mic with? You want to pass the mic over to Alexia? Thank you.
I think Marisa got some good things to say. Come on, Marisa, let's hear it.
Everyone's very talented and keep doing their work even though it's hard sometimes. Like whenever anyone says anything, like if you like I had an experience that I put eyebrow shadow and one of my friends was like, oh, it's too thick, you have to like make it right. I'm like, you don't tell me what to do. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, but I don't like it when you tell me something. Like,
how would you rather that person communicated with you instead of telling you what to do? What would you? How would you have received it better?
I would have said like, can you be a little bit nicer about it? Like, can you not tell me what to do? And I was just like,
just a suggestion, right? Like maybe if you took a little bit here, did a little bit, that would have been nicer, right? It's how they talk to you, the tone. It makes a big difference. I would like to hear from Jordan. Do you have anything to say, or Jalen?
I just really appreciate hearing everyone's story, especially Madison's own personal experience. I think that really struck a chord with many people, and it was really inspiring to hear you speak and share your experience. I think that your story is something that not a lot of people are aware about, and so I am really grateful for hearing your story.
And thank you. We have one hand raised, I see. I want to see that, and then we can close out with anything from Temple Grandin, if you have any closing remarks. So, but first, before we go to you, I'd like to just take this hand, raise this hand, because I just saw it. Reverend Curlin, did you have something you want to add?
I'm just delighted to be a part of the program and be on the state board or advisors. But I wanted to share something that came up for me after listening to Temple and some other people in Madison. I'm just so touched. My heart is touched. But one of my earliest jobs was to be a babysitter. And I worked with a young autistic young man for a year and a half. And I was able to listen to him, be available for him. And his parents told me he didn't speak to anyone else. He wouldn't share with other people. And I can't tell you what I did except to be a listening presence and to be available for him in a space of love. So what you all brought back to me is the beginning of my life of sharing and giving. And it began with someone who wasn't even able to speak that much, but he grew and laughed with me. So I just am touched by your messages. And if we reach out in love, we make a difference in the world. Thank you.
I'm going to take space now and share, because I just opened up a special relationship that Marisa and I have. Marisa, can you just share how our relationship has helped communication wise? Because when I met you, how were you with your words and communicating? Do you mind sharing on that?
When we first met each other, I would not talk. I would just stay quiet. I was not very talkative. Like,
unlike
I didn't go down. Like, we had to go meet each other at
the bus stop, trying to get everything off the house.
I was very stubborn about it. I was like very stubborn. I was like scared. I was afraid. And now I'm just like talkative and very talkative.
She'd order a lift. She didn't want to get in the lift. She didn't want to meet at the bus stop. I was like, girl, use your words. Come on, we're going to get going. You're going to live your life. So the relationship that the courage and the growth that I've seen in Marisa is just amazing. I love you so much. And she's literally become one of my best friends. So thank you. I do want to now share and have Temple Grandin share something in the last remarks. Is that okay, Kira? Is that fine? Thank you.
Well, just I want to thank you for having me here. I want to commend everything that you're doing. And your organizer's got my cell phone number, and anyone wants to contact me, I'd be happy to talk to you. My number is 970-443-1510, 970-443-1510. But we just got to go out there and show all the things that you're capable of doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was really a great way to end it, and very generous on your part. I think we really do. This really shows how important it is for us to contact each other. Despite COVID, we've been able to pull off an amazing 2 days, 4 sessions of emotional connection. And that, I think, is a very big accomplishment. And I will please contact any of us and Temple, thank you again. Robin, thank you again. Madison, thank you again. Chris,
thank you, Dr. Rose.
I'm going to feature music by Chris Lyric right now, and he's on the call. And you can check out his music on Spotify. And he's at CalArts right now producing music. And so just want
Are we
to,
gonna dance off again? We danced on. We should dance off.
we will dance. Let's get it going.
Special
Thanks,
thanks
everybody.
to Kira and Faye. Special thanks
Yes.
to Kira and Faye for pulling it all together.
If you said I don't, nigga, I does. Oh, yeah. Where we about to go and never be where we was. If you said I don't, guess what? Well, nigga, I does. Oh, this is special. This is special.
Right, we're gonna change the spotlight up. We're gonna dance, folks. I know Emily's gonna be working the spotlight, so when the camera comes on you, it'll get dance. We're gonna try to keep people on.
This is special.
We got Alexia, Marisa's got the spotlight on her. Yeah.
Where we about to go and never be where we was.
Marisa! My wolf girl!
I done. Where we about to go and never be where we was. Alright. If you said I don't, guess what? Well, nigga, I does. Nigga, I does. Wisdom, yeah. Question is
Yeah, that's life. That's life. Life is what you make it. You can make it hard, or you can make it easy, or you can make it between them. It's just tough. You just have to get one thing on your mind. Just try to make it and leave the other folks alone.
I think I'm gonna go.
All right, that was Chrissy. That was Chris and Wisdom. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great
everyone.
day.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Dr. Grandin.
Thank you for having me. I've got another appointment coming up, and thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Temple. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Kira, you're
Thanks,
great.
Laura.
Kira's gone.
Thanks, Auntie Faye, love.
Yes, Auntie Faye, love, you're awesome.
I know, you're a sweetheart. You did a great job, but you should definitely celebrate. Be very proud. I am very, very proud of you.
Love you.
Love you, sweetheart. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Hey, like me on Facebook. I can't find you. Like me on Facebook. Yeah, you.
You.
Yeah, you. Okay, we'll talk later. Bye, guys.
Bye.